You're here. We'll get going. So the whole idea of manifesting joy is that this struck me that I've been chasing happiness my whole life. And the problem is it's like I've been chasing a tyrant, because happiness is impermanent. It doesn't last.
Well, yeah, none of the, that's the central reality, is that none of the mind states are permanent.
Absolutely.
And that's what's interesting is, like, I've battled depression. I struggle with depression. I don't struggle with it quite as much as I once did, but it's interesting because when you're really depressed, it's a mind state. I believe that it's a fed mind state, just like all the other mind states are.
Okay.
And the funny thing is that when you're depressed, it's really hard for you to see that it's not permanent.
Yep.
That it's going to change just like all the other ones have,
right.
Always. And so yeah, I mean, joy is like something interesting you said just now. You said that you think that joy is
it's a natural permanent state.
How we're born. And I mean, to some extent that's true. If you I think the greatest state that I could really think of for the human is basically the child state. Where joy is your feet.
Feature, brother.
when you reach down and you can grab your feet and you're playing with your feet, you're like, wow, this is awesome, And
look at this! I didn't know I had these.
I'm like, wow, I found my tongue. It was so awesome. But yeah, so that would be the natural state,
right?
And the other things kind of
absolutely. Hi, Mike.
Yep.
Come on in, Mike. You're welcome. You'd like to come in and join the conversation, because I mean, that's fascinating what you see. It's like, I remember when my son was little, he was a toddler, and I was getting dressed for work one day, and I'm putting my shirt on, I'm buttoning up my shirt, and he says, "Daddy, I do." So, I said, okay, go ahead. So he had never done up a button in his life before. And, he's got his little hands there, and he's trying to get that button in that hole. And right. He's just trying, and he's pushing so hard. His little hands are shaking because he's pushing so hard. Anyways, I sat there and I didn't say a word. I just was observing it, but he was totally engrossed with it, totally excited about where he was at and what he was doing. He finally got it, and then he looked up and smiled and walked away. All was well.
Right.
And so, like, you talk about that childlike state. So I guess what I believe that I've come to this realization that I've been chasing happiness, that I've been chasing the idea of success. I've been chasing ideas of what I thought would bring me happiness, that would make me feel better. And hey, Utah man, come on in. Oh, awesome. So I've been chasing things that I thought that I wanted to achieve and experience, but in reality, I was chasing a projection. I was chasing an expectation of something outside me was going to return to me something that I wanted to experience. When in reality, what I want to experience is me. It's when I was born, when you were born, when all of us were born, we were born as us. We unlearned. We stopped. We learned a new way of being to perform, and we received feedback. And so based on that feedback, we started to learn to perform. Right. And pretty soon, as we go through, my experience was as I go through school, I started to become, I guess I would say, indoctrinated into what I call performance-based acceptance. That if I do this, I'll get this response, they'll like it, I'll feel accepted, I'll feel good, I'll fit in. And that continues throughout our whole life. Continues through work, it continues in relationships. And it's just, I think it's a thinking virus. Because none of those projections of, well, if I do this, I know she's going to like that. And if she likes that, then, maybe she'll like me. I think it's just tyranny. I think it's like having a conversation with a tyrant. You can't get a word in edgewise.
Oh yeah, if you're talking about, the continual pursuit for what you're essentially talking about is the pursuit for non-disturbance. This idea that it's possible to be in a state where you're not disturbed. I spent a lot of time studying the natural picture of man, which
Okay.
um,
Don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, you should Google that.
Natural
there's
picture of
one
man?
website dedicated to the. Have you ever heard the closest thing I can tell you is you've heard of C.S. Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so C.S. Lewis is a natural picture of man.
Okay.
He doesn't speak of it as the natural picture of man, but
Okay.
if you Google the natural picture of man and you find the website, I think it's still up. It'll kind of shock you. And then if you were to read the Screwtape Letters, which is one of the main sort of books that the natural picture of man aficionados or acolytes maybe
Right.
they read that book, and there's a lot of tie-in between the natural picture of man and the Screwtape Letters.
Okay.
Because most people, like you said, you've never heard of the natural picture of man, and it's kind of like this. I'll give you like a little. So imagine that you had two sides. Okay, let's start. So we were talking about how projections and ideals, and what is joy and what is happiness, right?
Right.
So imagine that you had this thing called a personality, which basically is you might think of it as like a shield or a movie screen that everybody sees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the personality is not you. You are not the personality. The personality is like a filter between what is and what you think is going on. Right. So the personality is a filter, and there's two different sides of it. There's what's called justice and love.
Okay.
Right. No, justice and I can't remember the other side, but it's justice and one other one. It basically breaks out that there's something wrong with you or there's something wrong with me. Those are the two sides.
Right.
So,
which I would call judgment and projection, and
so now you have this personality that is split. You have one side has three sort of what they call suggestions or ideas. And then on the other side, you have three. And then the reason why this is a big deal is because the idea is that, how in religion, in most all religions, some idea that God and man are split, right? So in the Baptist religion, you have to ask God back into your heart. You can talk to God yourself. In the Catholic religion, you essentially have to have the Pope and all of his intermediaries to speak to God. So in the natural picture of man, there's no separation.
Right.
Separation.
And that's my belief. I believe that we are all one. Everything's connected. Everything's divine, and everything's got energy. And it's just a different expression and vibration of energy.
Right. So if there's no separation between God and man, right, and we are in constant connection to, in the natural picture of man, it's not called God, it's called X. Right?
Sure.
So
the thing.
We're all in constant connection. So what happens is, now how there's cause and effect, right? There's there's an if-then statement idea about the natural world, right? What goes up comes down, etc.
Right.
So imagine if there wasn't cause and effect, but there was actually four forces of nature, right? So you would have, so the way it breaks down is you have let's talk about just walking across the room, right? So we're going to walk across the room. So we're laying on the couch and we think, I want to walk across the room.
Mhm.
So, the first thing is, we get up, our body gets up, and then we step across, and oh, by the way, there's oil on the ground, right? So,
Right.
so you have very, very little bit of resistance.
Okay.
So you don't move very far. So you have initiation, and then immediately after initiation, whatever it is, you're going to have resistance.
Sure.
So this in this nature is this natural built-in idea of resistance. And so the thing that you ask for, the thing that you think about you want to do or whatever, immediately there's a resistance that comes with that. And then what typically happens is we fight the resistance, right?
Yeah.
So let's pretend that none of us are fighting the resistance and we work with the resistance instead. So the next step is the form. So in this case, we're trying to walk across the room. And so we motivate across the room to some extent, and then you have an effect.
Right.
So if we are not disconnected from God, and we are actually connected at all times, then we are 24 hours a day communicating. And then the other idea is that X balances us relative to what we're saying, right? So if we are subject to what the personality has to say as far as the, so let's talk about the personality for a second. I don't want to take up your whole, so the personality, right? So the first sort of, resolution, like the first, what they call not I, right? They're all called not I's. So the first step, or the first suggestion is basically that you want to go back to being in the womb because you want non-disturbance, right? So you're born into this crazy world, your
Right.
pain and agony and whatever else. And so the first solution that your mind comes up with, the personality comes up with, is I want to go back to non-disturbance. So all of these suggestions, whether it's on the right side sort of or the left side, either one, they're all lies that the personality tells you that we follow that are meant to get us non-disturbance. So like the first one is, it's been a while since I talked about this. So there's the first one, and then I remember the second one. After the second one, I'm good. But so the second one is, I will take something from you or hurt you, and then you will give me. So like if you imagine a little kid, and he wants the toy or whatever, then he'll either smack you, or he will take something of yours to get what he wants, right? So that's non-disturbance. So then, you're the first one, second one, and by the second one, you're about like 4 or 5, 6, 7 years old, and then you realize that you can't beat everybody up, right? And so it flips, and now it's I will be a people pleaser. I will give you what you want, and you will give me what I want, right? And we try that, idea for a little bit. And of course that doesn't work either, because nothing ever works, ever. And non-disturbance is an illusion. So then the next one is authority figures, so the suggestion is that if you follow, God, or you follow the police, or you follow whatever, then you get non-disturbance. But that doesn't work either. And so then it flips all the way to the other side again. And there's something wrong with me, but I must change, right? So you start, trying to, so you start following the suggestion that says that you're different, you're the wrong way, you're whatever, you're changing you. And then that doesn't work either. And then you flip to the other side. There's something wrong with you.
You go round and round and round we go, right?
Kind of
You you perfectly set up everything I want to talk about. That's awesome because I guess I've been there. I've traveled that road. I tried to figure that stuff out. I studied science of mind. I've studied Buddhism. I've been in lots of Christian religions. I've tried lots of different things. But the question I'm asking is, what if joy supersedes happiness? What if joy is actually a permanent state of our inner being? And so
I don't think that's a question. I mean, it's not a question for me. It doesn't mean anybody can show it all the time.
But it's always here. I'm saying
is,
that undisturbed. So, for example, so let me ask you. So, have you ever noticed that as you take a breath in, and then you hold it, and you focus on holding your breath, and you're just in that spot. You ever notice how quiet it is?
Well, I spend a lot of time meditating, so I can definitely, I do a lot of meditation. I mean, I meditate.
Okay, cool.
40 minutes a day or so.
So, one of the things I say to people is the purpose of meditation isn't to calm the mind. The purpose of meditation, the Buddhist perspective, is to train the mind. The calming and the quieting of the mind is a byproduct of learning to focus the mind. And so, but I guess what I'm saying is that I believe that there is a presence, that there is an energy, I happen to call it joy, that we cannot depart from. It is always there. It's always been present. And so, and it's our inner being. And I believe that, if we could discover that inner beingness, every single person would feel a sense of joy. And I think it's that natural state of being at home with oneself, of being home and living in the heart and being comfortable in your own skin. Whereas happiness, on the other hand, which is, guaranteed in the American Constitution. Where are you from? Where do you live? Okay, so the American Constitution guarantees the pursuit of happiness. Well, I'm a Canadian, so I don't know, that's the way I remember it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But happiness, on the other hand, I believe happiness is an external observation, a sense of projection, some judgment or attachments to things that are going on around me and around myself. And happiness can't occur unless the things line up in a certain way, unless my expectations are met. And when they do or when they don't, I'll have a certain emotional reaction to what's going on and a judgment about it. And then I'm going to be either, like you described, happy or unhappy. And so, but I believe it lies within our inner being, our heartfelt centered beingness that we were born with, that natural state of calm. But to me, it's this quiet assurance that I choose to call joy, that is undisturbed. It can't be damaged. It can't be killed. It wasn't born. It came with me when I came here, and it's going to go with me when I leave. That's my fundamental belief. And so I believe that the natural state of joy persists when I feel at home, when I choose to walk in who I am, in my truth, no matter what's going on. I'm at home and I'm comfortable with who I am.
Well, yeah, that's the $50,000 freaking red pill right there.
Well,
I mean, that's how much you can sell it for. If you can package that, stuff, be straight. But it's going to be look. I know this about. I actually wrote a book. This is a link to my book.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, on Gum Road, eh?
Yeah,
cool.
And it's called Crack the Depression Code, and it's all about my experience of depression and the seven things that I do, that I have done, that absolutely keep me on keep me on solid ground. So wait a minute, there we go. So yeah, so it's and so
Okay.
I give that book away because until people know you, they won't let you lead them from a burning building, which is crazy, which is just nuts. But
Yeah.
it's the reality.
Well, I'm just working on
So
touching one heart at a time. And
all right, I got you.
what's that?
Sure, you said you're working on a book though, right?
Yeah, I've got
You're
one book
working on
out
a
there
book.
called Headstrong and Heartfelt 90 Reflections on Living Consciously in a Chaotic World, which was my journey, my story about how it's up on Amazon, about how I transitioned from living totally in my head to being able to feel a sense of coherence and be headstrong and heartfelt. And so what I'm doing now with Manifesting Joy is that, the subtitle is release the struggle. Practice your magic. There's a magic presence within each of us that we can learn to access. And then finally that we can to discover what it is that makes your heart sing out loud.
Yeah, that's one of the things like so one of the reasons why I'm so interested in depression is because
I've been down the road, so I know
really
a little bit
well.
about what you're talking about.
And so I really want to save people that pain and agony if I can. And the other thing is that I really want people to be doing their big, amazing,
Exactly.
fantastic.
How can they be fully and wholly who they are? Because there's nobody on the planet that knows Brian better than Brian. Nobody that's seen everything you've done, experienced everything you've experienced, felt everything you've felt. You're the only one that truly has the context for living your life. The only question is, are you going to step into to be fully who you are? And what if the source of all of our pain and suffering is the fact that we are so busy trying to perform and please other people that we've forgotten how to be comfortable with who we are? And that I believe that the secret to that, to experiencing joy and experiencing life more completely, is to get comfortable in my own skin, at home in my own body. It changed my world is all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, that's definitely, like I said, that's the $500,000.
Oh, the price went up. It was $50,000 before.
Yeah, I'm just adding zeros. Yeah, that's definitely the, that's the $500,000 freaking question.
I mean, I've also had a lot of life lessons along the way. So I was born the youngest. I was the youngest of three kids. My sister was 8 years older than me. My brother was 13. No, my brother was 8 years older. My sister was 13 years older. My father died when I was 19 in my arms. My brother died about 4 years later. My sister died. My father died at 52. My sister died at 52. My mother just recently died. My entire family has died except for my son, who's now 22. And so I've experienced a lot of grief. I've seen a lot of depression. I've seen a lot of stuff. And the medications, all that sort of stuff, until I started to take back control of my life and choosing that, I remember going many years ago, I went to my doctor and I said, I want to get off the medication. He said, why? I said, I'm tired of not feeling nothing. Well, it could be a kind of a bumpy ride. I said, I'll tell you what, I'd rather put up with the side effect of depression and at least feel something than to continue to feel nothing. And, and so it's been a long road, but, I wouldn't change a thing because there's like a veil of vagueness that when I take antidepressants, I kind of, even though they switched it up and tried to go with some of the newer SSRIs and all that, it's still, now that I'm off them again, there's a clarity, and there's a clarity that comes that I just is amazing when you get off, when I got off them. And otherwise, I just felt like even though I didn't know that I was in, the things were opaque, they were. I don't know if that's been your experience at all.
Yeah, I was on Zoloft for 7 months, and first thing I did, after 7 months was get off of them. And it wasn't really because I felt like I was, and it's interesting because the Crack the Depression Code, its main idea, one of its main themes is to move past depression, to move through depression without
awesome
antidepressant drugs. Unless you're like, what I'm talking about though is functional depression.
Full-blown clinical stuff.
About bipolar
or bipolar 2 or anything like that. Okay.
If you need drugs, if you need drugs, if you need drugs to make it, then that's cool. But to me, my sort of target audience, so to speak,
right,
is the functional depressive, someone who
that's a great description of it.
So
just like there's functional alcoholics.
Right, definitely. So yeah, the idea is, with the book is to work through your depression, to track your depression, to make your depression,
right,
personal, and without antidepressant drugs, without the medicine. And the thing is like reading about, this stuff and, talking to various people and my experience and your experience. And then, not to mention the fact that the New England Journal of Medicine published a study,
right,
like a couple of years ago, very comprehensive study. And they came out with the fact that, for the most part, antidepressant drugs don't even work as well as placebo. Not only that, they found that, like many other things we're finding, which is the doctors tend to sell this stuff and, like make an ass ton of money.
Well, plus it's easy. The challenge is it's so easy to go to the doctor and get a pill. I lived with a woman for 34 years who was a non-functional form of schizophrenia with auditory hallucinations, and it was really difficult. And I went to him because she had a really bad bout. We just moved into a new house. My son was still at home. I hadn't gone to school yet. I'm running a very active coaching business. I'm coaching, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, and like Mr. Mom, right? I said, listen, I'm the only breadwinner here. I'm the only one that's functioning in my family. I got a son to look after. You need to help me stay out of the hospital. Because I remember my hands were shaking. I had trouble making decisions, trouble focusing. It was really difficult period of time. And it did help me. But, I remember when I went to him, I said, I need to get off of them. It was one of the most important decisions that I ever did. I had a friend of mine point out to me this last week, a picture that was taken of me that I put up on Google in 2011. And I looked miserable, man. I looked pensive. I did not look happy. And I compare it to how I look today. People were telling me, I even put up on Facebook, tell me what you see. Everybody's telling me I look younger. So, it's crazy. The stress that it brings. But I think the world would be a different place if we could just start to question some things. That's all I want people to do. And so I'm going to be creating a Manifesting Joy Mastermind. And, because what if the source of all of our suffering is actually caused by our projections, expectations, and judgments that we made? And if we could choose instead to get comfortable with who we are and choose to live from here, from the heart, and be genuine and comfortable in our own skin, I know the world would be a different place. I know your world will be a different place as mine has become a different place. And so I think what happens when we do, but my experience has been I've experienced a significant sense of release and liberation to be able to access that inner joy in any moment that I choose to be present with it. That at any moment that I choose to become conscious and go there, I can experience it. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's there in every person. It's that it's buried behind this facade and all the activity in my mind, the machinations of my mind. So through a combination of training the mind through meditation, through a combination of breathing techniques and getting to know yourself, you can get there. And so I wanted to keep this a short blab. I'm really happy to meet you, Brian. I look forward to seeing you again. I've followed you on Blab and on Twitter. I think sometimes the best blabs are ones like this where they're really short and sweet and to the point. And you and I just had a real intimate conversation. And I'm really excited. People, everybody that watches this should check out Crack the Depression Code. If you are somebody that's functional but still coping with depression and want to try to find a different way, check Brian's book out.
Hey man, I appreciate that. I just want to help 1,000 people this year.
Great goal,
That's
man.
My target. 1,000 people, that I can say, they downloaded my book if it's for free, not for free, whatever. 1,000 people, do the Crack the Depression Code book and find something that's worthwhile. I will live.
Absolutely. Well, I support you in that pursuit, and let's keep in touch. As authors, I often thought that maybe if authors around a particular subject got together and created a community and collaborated and supported one another, we could really do something. So if that's something you're interested in, follow me on Twitter, send me a text. Let's chat on Skype one day. Let's get to know one another better. Who knows where it could go?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be creating a stack.
What's Stack?
Stack? Stack is a way it's a really easy way to create a membership. So like we can have a membership of anything, just by inviting somebody to the stack, then they can see the stack. So you could do like a stack for, like I have one for depressed entrepreneurs.
By the way, I've worked with entrepreneurs for like 3 decades. Oh really? I retired in 2010. I've coached people in 34 industries, 3 continents, more than 500 entrepreneurs face to face. I had my own training programs. I put more than 10,000 people through. I've seen a lot of depression, and I've seen how it affects business. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I'm actually in the process of putting the course together. And it's specifically for entrepreneurs with depression.
What's the software that runs the stack? I'm trying to find it here. What would I look for? Oh, Stack.com?
It's I think it's sorry, I just know it is Stack. Hang on a second. Yeah, it's stacksocial.com. That's the name of it.
Yeah, Stack.com is football. Oh,
yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, Stack Social. I see it. Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's so I'm working on this course for Crack the Depression Code, and sort of I have a course.
Oh, so this is like a training sort of thing.
Well, stacksocial.com, that's a way to have a membership site where you can invite people to your stack, and so everybody will be like right there, and it's easy to talk to them and share stuff like within the stack, right? And if you don't know where the stack is, if you weren't invited, you can't get in the stack. You can't it's like a free membership.
But then I see that they sell courses here too, eh?
Oh yeah.
So is this sort of like Udemy?
Well, Stack Social, it has a lot of different pieces to it.
I'll check it out. Well, listen, let me just close the show and then we can have a short chat here. So I just want to thank Brian and folks, if you're watching this after, even though if you're watching this on the replay, just know that there's another way. Just know that there is a presence and a place inside you. There is a place where you can go to experience joy anytime you want. It might seem like the impossible dream, but I'm here to tell you it's not an impossible dream. It is reality. Will it take work on your part? Absolutely, it'll take work. Is it worth it? It's worth more than you can imagine. I'm going to be starting a Manifesting Joy Mastermind, and because what I'm going to be doing is releasing the book chapter by chapter. I'm going to be masterminding it and workshopping it with people. And so if you're interested in that, send me an email. You can visit me at gregdixon.ca. And look forward to hearing from you. And thanks a lot for listening to this blab today. And thank you, Brian. It wouldn't have been the same without you.
All right.
Man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks, man.